Happy Friday! Welcome to Belzona's first ever Facebook Live. We're here in the Miami facilities. My name is Alex. I'm a technical service engineer here at Belzona. I'm with my colleagues Arthur and Yasser. For those of you that aren't familiar with Belzona, we make protective coatings and repair composites, and we try to extend the life of industrial equipment. That being said, we like to repair and protect rather than replace and waste. So, as I said, this is the first Facebook Live we've ever done. You might be asking yourself, Alex, why are you wearing a rain jacket? Alex, am I hearing some water dripping in the background? Well, we thought for our first Facebook Live, what better way to do it than repair a live leak? So, with the help of my two colleagues, we're going to show you guys how to repair a live leak, one method. Live leaks are common in the industry. There's different ways to repair them. Sometimes you can't isolate them, so you have to repair them live. So we're going to show you one technique, a new technique that we have to repair a live leak. So let's go into our system. We're going to start out with our new mesh. I'm going to put it there, Belzona 9621. You don't got to worry about the number. Just know that we have a new mesh. It's 3D printed. There's a couple things that make it good for a live leak situation. One thing, for instance, is we have a bypass. So you don't have to fight against the pressure. And you'll see later, when we actually seal the live leak, you don't have to fight against the pressure. The leak is able to vent out of the bypass. Also, it's flexible, so you can fit around different pipe diameters, 3 inches and above. That way you can just have this, when you have a leak on a 12-inch diameter pipe, you have a leak on a 6-inch diameter pipe, you got your mesh that will fit it all. Second, after using your mesh, we have our reinforcement. This is going to add some hoop strength to our repair, so this will allow us to wrap around the pipe and wrap this mesh to the pipe, and it's going to add some hoop strength. It's going to give us some more pressure retention. It's going to make it a stronger repair. Question is, how am I going to adhere this mesh? How am I going to adhere this reinforcement to the substrate? That's where our Belzona 1212 epoxy comes into play, and we're going to talk a lot about this epoxy, but it is a surface tolerant epoxy, and we'll go into surface tolerance in a little bit. But basically, when you have a live leak, your surface is going to be contaminated. You're going to have some water. You might have some oil on the surface. So you need something that's surface tolerant, and we're going to talk about that real soon. So are you guys ready? I think we're going to start showing you how to actually do this repair. We've gone through the system. So typically, when you have any application, the first part of an application is surface preparation. Now here we're dealing with a live leak. Most likely you cannot bring in any special equipment. You can't bring anything too fancy. So in this case, we're going to use a manual tool. Yasser here is going to show us a technique on how to do some surface preparation. One thing I do want to mention before Yasser begins, due to time constraints, we have done some of the parts of this application ahead of time, and we'll go through what we've done before to save some time. But we'll continue that as we go. But right now, Yasser is going to show you a technique for doing some surface prep. So you can go ahead, you can watch Yasser. So, as I said before, Belzona 1212 is surface tolerant, so it can be applied to a wet surface, but it's very crucial that you have a rough profile, and that's what Yasser is doing right now. He's creating a rough profile, and that way the epoxy can kind of anchor into that profile, and you're going to get mechanical adhesion to the substrate. So you want to go in all sorts of directions. You see Yasser, he's going left, he's going right, he's going straight. He's going everywhere. You want to make it as rough as possible, and you definitely want to get the whole circumference of the pipe. As I said, we don't have time. This probably take about 10 minutes to do this whole section. As you can see, he only did the top layer here. If we move over to what we prepared a little while ago, we have the whole circumference of the pipe prepared. You want to make sure you get the bottom. That's a common place where people don't put a lot, maybe forget to put some effort, but you want to get underneath the pipe and make sure you have everything prepared. Now, once you've done the surface prep, so our surface prep is already done, you can see we've marked off our repair area. So now we can start thinking about using the product. But before I start doing some product, anybody have any questions, you can post them on Facebook. We're going to start working on our preparation. So we have a reinforcement sheet here. It's very crucial that you measure this out before you begin anything. So we've already pre-measured this reinforcement, so it's going to extend our whole repair area with 2 wraps. we've pre-cut a hole in our reinforcement sheet, so that way the bypass of the 3D mesh can go into the hole. So this is going to make it easy for Yasser to wrap this mesh with the reinforcement over this hole. So, like I said, when it comes to mixing epoxies, for those of you that have never mixed epoxies, you have a limited pot life. So once we mix Belzona 1212, we're going to have about, in this temperature and this humidity, about 9 minutes to apply it to the system. So you want to make sure that everything is set up, everybody knows what they're going to do before you mix this product. So I know, Arthur, what are you going to do?
Wet out the substrate.
Arthur's going to wet out the substrate. Yasser, he already knows he's going to be taking care of the mesh and the reinforcement. So everybody has a plan, everybody knows what they're going to do, especially Arthur and Yasser. So they know what they're going to do, we're ready. In about 1 minute, we're going to start mixing the product, and we're going to talk about things you need to do while you're mixing. It's crucial to mix it correctly. Mixing it incorrectly, you don't get the properties you want. The properties that we do with testing, everything we do, that's based on properly mixed product. So I think Yasser is going to go ahead and mix Belzona 1212 over here. So when you think about emergency products, you want something that's easy to mix, easy mixing ratio, fast curing, surface tolerant. So that's where Belzona 1212 comes in. It has an easy to think about volumetric ratio. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. It comes in small packs, which are convenient for emergency situations. For the most part, you would just use all of the base and all of the solidifier. You would mix both components completely, and you have your emergency epoxy system. So Yasser's going to go ahead and start mixing up the product. Right there, that's the base component. You can see it's a black color. And it's pretty smart to have two spatulas, one for the base, one for the solidifier. You don't want to mix them right away. If you're mixing both completely, you could get away with it. So the solidifier, you can see it's like a light gray. Yasser's going to show you the technique. This guy knows what he's doing. So for those of you that just joined, this is Facebook Live, Belzona's first ever Facebook Live here in Miami. We're trying to show you guys a new technique we have for stopping live leaks, some new technology that we've developed. For those of you that aren't familiar, this is what we do. We develop ways to prevent corrosion, extend the life of industrial equipment, and try to, instead of replacing, we can always just repair it, protect it, and improve it for further life. So when it comes to pipes, dealing with internal corrosion, external corrosion, erosion, you can definitely see some leaks. We've seen many of them in Belzona's history. And we got Yasser here mixing it up. So as you can see, it's a 1-to-1 ratio. You have two different colors, so you can distinguish the base from the solidifier. Another convenient thing is, the darker base comes in a light color container, so you can see, if you got it all, and it comes in a nice shape, so it's easy to get the whole container out. And then he's going to start mixing it now. So you got to put a little bit of muscle in here, but it's pretty simple. And the more you mix it, the easier it becomes to mix. So the first, couple strokes are harder than the last. So as you can see, you can see it perfectly. He's doing the figure 8. As you can see, we started with a black and a light gray. And then you're trying to get a uniform color of kind of a dark gray. So once you see that dark gray uniform color without streaks of any dark black or light gray, then you're going to know that it's mixed. Now, as I said before, you got to be ready. So once he mixes it completely, Arthur's going to grab his brush. He's going to apply it to the substrate. Yasser is going to have a brush as well, and he's going to apply it to the 3D mesh, 3D printed mesh, as well as the reinforcement. You ready, Arthur?
I'm ready.
Arthur's ready. So going into this pack while they're mixing, this pack comes with the 3D printed mesh. It comes with an Allen key, and it comes with a bolt that has a seal wrap around it, and it also comes with an O-ring. The O-ring makes the seal tight over the hole, and then what this system does basically is just allows you to vent out the leak while the system is curing. Once your system cures, you can then go ahead and use the bolt and the Allen key, and you can bolt and plug the leak. So this way you're not fighting against pressure. There's other leak stopping systems that we have too, that you're going to fight against the pressure, and you know that could be tough at times when you're dealing with a high pressure or a large pipe diameter. So this makes it a little bit easier. You're venting out, and then you're allowing your system to cure. Once it cures, you can go ahead and bolt it. So Yasser now has a uniform color. He's mixed his product correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to follow Arthur, and we're going to put some epoxy onto the substrate. Go ahead. All right. So as you can see, we have a leak, so that there might be some water on the substrate. There is some water in the substrate. So you need, most epoxies, although most epoxies require a clean and dry surface, Belzona 1212 can be applied to a wet surface as long as you have a rough profile. If you look at Arthur's technique, he's brushing it in hard. That way he ensures that the product goes into the profile, displaces any water inside of the profile, and anchors in. So he's brushing it as hard as he can. He's going to make sure he gets the 3 to 6 area, so we have adhesion in the whole circumference of the pipe. And you can see it's pretty easy to brush, right, Arthur? He's using a short bristled brush. That way he can really put some force into the substrate. If we come over to Yasser, he's putting epoxy material with an applicator into the reinforcement sheet. You can see he's pretty quick, and he's covering the entire reinforcement sheet with a layer of epoxy. So we're going to wrap that around with epoxy. Now those are two very simple, kind of pretty straightforward things. You're just going to apply it to got a little wet there. Sometimes you get a little wet, live leaks. When it comes to wetting out the mesh, there's a couple things you want to take into consideration. And Yasser's going to show you. But as I said earlier, the key to this is the bypass. We're letting the fluid go out of the bypass. So you don't want to put any material into the hole. So you want to just cover the mesh without covering the hole with Belzona 1212. Getting everything, Arthur?
Make sure you get all the circumference all the way to the bottom. Optimize the adhesion to the substrate.
Need some more? You're gonna have enough? See, and we used one power pack for this situation, or one unit, and it gave us enough to do this repair. We got some there. So Yasser's covering the rest of the 3D mesh, 3D printed mesh, with some Belzona 1212. Arthur's finishing up the substrate. Looks good. It's getting hot in this jacket. It's pretty hot down here in Miami, so this material is going to be curing pretty fast. You're going to have pretty low working life, so you got to move a little bit quick. Got to know what you're doing. Right now, if you look at Yasser, he's put the reinforcement over the hole, and this is a key step to this whole process. You got to match the hole on the 3D printed mesh with the hole leak. As you see here, we have kind of a circumferential slot. It's not too big, so it should fit fine. He's got to do it quickly. He's got to hold that mesh in place, because you don't want the hole to move or maneuver, and you don't want the leak to be not in the hole. So Yasser's going to take care of this. Go for it, Yasser. So as you can see, he lined it up nice, and now he's going to use kind of an X technique. He's going to take the left side of the right side of the reinforcement. He's going to move it over to the left side. And he's going to take the left side and move it over to the right side. One good thing to see is you want to see resin coming out of the mesh. That shows that you're compressing the repair, you're getting rid of the air voids, and you're compacting the repair nice. So that looks good, Yasser. That's nice compaction right there. You want to see resin just exuding out of those fibers. The mesh is now available in North and South America, the 3D printed mesh, 9621. So it's available in this convenient pack. Great tool to have if you're dealing with, if you want to have something that can be used for different pipe diameters, you can have something that's accessible, easy to use for different leak situations. So Yasser's pulling tight. You see he's pulling tight. You want to pull tight. And you see how much resin exuded. If you didn't do that, you might have some air pockets and the strength of repair won't be at its maximum. Now he's using the applicator to smooth it out, compress it a little more. So Yasser knows what he's doing. That's a good looking repair. You can see the hole is aligned very well with the leak. And this material is not cured yet, but it's staying there because we're allowing the leak to vent. So we're not fighting against the leak, we're letting it flow out, and we're not putting any force onto the repair. Once it cures, we can go ahead and stop the leak. So this is a tool you can use when you have a live leak. You don't have a method to stop it. Go ahead and stop it. You can't isolate your pipe. You can't take it out of operation, or it's going to be too hard to take it out of operation. This is one method, a new method we have. We have other things that are similar, but basically the 3D printed mesh, you would say, Arthur, is the new gun in this system. The good thing about 3D printing is you can do everything very specific. So he chose hexagonal shape, he chose his plastic of choice, he chose how the nozzle should be, and everything is specific, to make this repair work. It's good distribution of stress, there's good flexibility, it's easy to wrap it around. The nozzle has good reinforcement, so when you torque the bolt, the nozzle doesn't get disrupted. So that's something that took a couple tries to get it right, and so this is what we're using now. It's working very well. See, Yasser's making it look nice. Once he gets that done, you can take off the tape, and you can have a nice edge of repair. The O-ring is also pretty crucial. I know I talked about it before, but before he put the 3D mesh onto the pipe, he put the O-ring underneath here, and it fits very nicely, and that's going to really make a tight seal. So the O-ring is really crucial, another crucial component of the 3D mesh. So a lot of things went into consideration when making this to make sure you have a tight seal, and you make sure it's convenient to use for live leaks. Show you guys the bolt. The bolt also has additional seal here, so you get a tight seal when you actually, once the product cures and you're able to bolt it. So hopefully you didn't just join now because we just did the live leak repair, but if you did just join, Yasser, Arthur, and myself, we just repaired, almost done with the repair of a live leak. We have the system in place. We're venting the leak out. If this were a real situation, in about 2 hours we would go ahead and plug the leak. We're here in Miami, Belzona's first ever Facebook live leak situation. You want me to go ahead and take that off?
Yeah.
So we can go ahead and take off the tape. It's always good to mark off your area, makes the repair look nice, and you can kind of have a good estimate of the length of repair you need. So a couple things that are crucial. Yes, Belzona 1212 is surface tolerant, but you have to have some type of profile. In this situation, can't use every tool in the book. You have to have some manual tools, some simple tools. In this case, we use the file. Have to have your reinforcement and your 3D mesh ready to go. Mix your product, apply it over the hole, and this is what you're going to come up with. So Yasser did a good job. So this could work well for holes, you know, that are smaller than this nozzle. Obviously, if your hole is larger than this nozzle, you won't be able to vent it out correctly. So this could work well for small slots, small circles, pinholes, which could be hard to anchor in with a putty or another material. So this works well for that type of situation. As I said before, we don't have all the time in the world, so I don't want to sit here and wait with you guys for 2 hours while this cures. So earlier today we did do a repair, and we let it cure, and then we bolted it. So this is a finished repair from earlier. It had pretty much the same exact defect. We put the defects into both these areas right here, and the repair was done in the same manner you saw today, from surface prep to mixing to the reinforcement to implementing the repair. This was done by the same people as well, Yasser and Arthur and myself, and as you can see, the leak was prevented. You can give it one last torque if you want. See, it's a pretty tight seal. You don't have to tighten it to the maximum either. As you can see, it's good to go there. Looks good, works well, and that was one way we stopped the live leak. So we hope you guys enjoyed the live leak demonstration. If you enjoyed the video and you want to learn more about Belzona, you can go to the Belzona Facebook, Belzona Instagram. We have a bunch of videos, different applications, similar to this, different. I mean, we definitely have many different applications that, if this is an interest to you, go ahead and take a look at it. Probably going to plug this up in 2 hours, come back with Yasser, we'll plug it up, and we'll take some pictures. Definitely check out our YouTube channel as well. Yasser did this last week, and we have the full video on YouTube with steps and writing. Got a great voiceover and everything, so you can see the video step by step. This was just trying out something new with some Facebook Live. Wanted to show you that we do this with real people, real live situation, real live leak. And if you guys enjoyed this, we can definitely do it again with some other applications if you want to see Belzona live. So I guess now if you have any questions, you can comment them. I'll get them fed over to me and we can answer them. If you have any technical questions, any other type of questions, just go ahead right now and go with it. It's a good job. Once you're done, of course, you got to do your cleanup, get rid of your product. And so thank you guys for coming. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a happy Friday.